on April the 10th in the year of our Lord 2026, and I've got a lot of great information for you tonight. Let me go ahead and click Mertech on Rumble and jump over here to my Rumble channel. And this is the video we're going over tonight, episode 1883. It says upcoming, but as you know, you are actually watching it. So let me go ahead and click on that. Close out the live chat, slide down here and click the Show More button to expand out the description box. We have information from Dan Bongino, American Center for Law and Justice, ACLJ, Glenn Beck, and Wendy Bell Radio. But before we get into that, I do need to give some shout outs to Noah T967 just started following my channel. Chrissy Katz just started following my channel. Mike Green 3644 just started following my channel. Pagan 3212 just started following my channel, and Red Rider just started following my channel. So thank you very much, folks, for following my channel. I greatly appreciate that. I hope you're tuned in tonight, and I hope you enjoy the content. Okay, Debbie BS reposted my episode 1882. Fisher C45 commented on my daily news wrap-up. Debbie BS commented on my extra 664C. And Debbie BS commented on my extra 665A and 665B. So thank you very much, folks, for your comments and reposting my video. I definitely appreciate your support, and I enjoy reading your feedback. So let me go ahead and give this a thumbs up. Boom. And if you could give me a thumbs up, right here is that little thumbs up icon right below the video that you're watching. So if you could slide down and click that, that would be fantastic. Okay, let's see what Dan Bongino has to say in Trump Drops the Hammer, episode 2492. Let's check this out.
Hey, let's get this party started.
All right.
Got a big weekend ahead, a lot going on in the Dan Bongino household. I'm excited, traveling a little bit this weekend, but I will be back on Monday, raring to go with another, electric show ready for you. You saw the post last night on True Social. I was sitting at home. I was in the gym working out. No, the gym. I have the little gym in my house in one of the garages over there. And I was this piece of equipment I use at night. It's kind of really good for, getting you in a good spot. And I see the True Social post by Donald Trump. He is really understandably pissed off. You saw the post about Tucker, Meghan, Candace, and Alex Jones have been fighting me for years, especially by the fact they think it's wonderful for Iran, the number one state sponsor of terror, to have a nuclear weapon. You can read the whole thing out there. It's quite long. I heard this morning it was 500 words. I didn't count them. I assume that's about right. But I'm going to tell you from what I'm hearing, a lot of this is understandably about. You got yesterday a teaser. If you ever want to get a good look into Donald Trump's mind, one of the guys closest to him is an amazing guy who he's been with President Trump way before anyone else in politics. It's Dan Scavino. Dan Scavino's in the White House with him now, one of his right-hand guys. He is a patriot, loves his country. I showed you a tweet by him yesterday in the show, an X post yesterday, that you can kind of get a preview about what this stuff is about. That, listen, they're interested in people who are, they're not shutting out people who have principally criticized on principle some of the things that have happened in the administration. They don't. I know that because I disagree with President Trump on some things, and he's never once said to me in a phone call or anything else, like, how dare you disagree? All I think he asks is that if you have a point, make it, but back it up. Don't just throw stuff out there like President Trump's got early onset Alzheimer's disease. That's just stupid. You sound like a raving freaking lunatic. It's all fake outrage porn. The president's tired of it, man. Just be one of his opponents. He's not telling you don't have the right to say it. You do. Of course you have the right to say it. But it's just stupid is the point. Do you have some principled objection or not? His objection is not to, I don't like the Iran war. I don't like tariffs. I don't like your stance on abortion. That's not his beef. His beef is you're simply engaging in outrage porn. You're virally injecting into the human host a bullshit narrative about my mental state, and then you're pretending to be one of my friends. Folks, I'm sorry to tell you, but I've been in this business a long, long time. And I am sorry to tell you this because I wish I didn't have to. A lot of the people you put faith in this business in general, behind the scenes are totally different people. Alex Jones is full of shit. I don't know how, I don't really care. You want to listen to his show, fine, go right ahead. This guy is a fraud. I will never forget early on in my political career when I was running for office, I got invited on, I did the network InfoWars a couple of times early on. Listen, I was young in the business, whatever. I went on the show figuring might as well talk to people. You get your name out there. And it's during like a break before I come on. And I'm just telling you, like, the conversation was so disturbing. Oh, well, I'm just going to like do it anyway because that's what the audience said. I was like, well, it's probably not a good idea. It's not exactly true. Oh, yeah, well, that's what I couldn't believe it. The guy's a total fake and a phony. It's not real. It's all bullshit. I did a hit on Fox last night, and I was talking about on Laura Ingram's show last night, how it's really hard over time to constantly fake being authentic when you're not authentic. If you're authentic, you don't have to try. You know, someone asked me once, they say, when you give speeches, you don't use notes. I said, well, I don't need notes. I just believe in the stuff. Like, if you ask me to give a speech about how much I love my two daughters, I don't need to write it down. I can just tell you because that's how I feel. The thing about being inauthentic and a bullshitter is it takes a lot of work because you have to constantly cover up all of your lies in the past by saying things that were not real. He has guests on his show all the time who tell you things. Tomorrow, Kash Patel's going to be fired. And then tomorrow comes and everybody pretends it didn't happen. Did you guys notice that? Everybody just moves on. Do you ever get tired of being lied to? He has guests on the show. The FBI, I remember that. I'll never forget this one. I was at the Bureau like 2 months or so. I see this tweet go out there. The FBI knows the identity of the pipe bomber. It's hiding it from you. I was like, shit, man, that's news to me. And it was weird. Then when we go out and we make an arrest in the case, and all subjects are innocent until proven guilty, of course, however, we go out and make an arrest in the case, it was like that tweet never happened. It was weird because then they claimed that some of the same people was a different person. I'm like, what story is it? Do you ever get tired of being lied to? Do you know how many times I've read tweets of this guy's leaving tomorrow, this guy's getting left, and it doesn't happen. Folks, at some point, like, people crave authentic folks, even if you disagree with them. And that's Trump. He does not have in his cabinet. I never sat in cabinet meetings. I just want to be clear, and it's not like some fake flex. I was not a cabinet member at all. I was at the deputy level. However, I've been at meetings with cabinet members in like the sit room and others. Again, not a flex, just true. And folks, I'm telling you, like, there are a number of people in his cabinet who have a ton of different opinions on various issues. He doesn't fire them. He doesn't fire them. He doesn't say, get out of here because you disagree with me. That doesn't happen. All he asks is that if you have a disagreement, be authentic. I was on Laura Ingram's show last night, and we were discussing exactly this. Now, this clip, about a minute 30, but I don't like playing clips of myself from last night because I just talk about it again, but this is important, and I'd rather just not repeat the whole damn thing. But I did this hit last night, and Laura had asked me about the Democrats' newfound love affair with cursing. All the Democrats are dropping F-bombs now. F this, F that. And I said, listen, man, I don't really mind the cursing. Like, I do it. I try not to. However, the fact that it bothers people so much, it bothers them because it's not real. It's fake. And nothing pisses Trump off more than fake bullshit. Like, hey, the 25th Amendment. They just made that up. They knew it would be outrage porn. They knew it would get them clicks and earn them money. So Alex Jones just made that whole thing up. He knows the guy's fine. He's just making it up to piss you off. How many times you want to be lied to? It was me on Ingram about this non-genuine, inauthentic angle to the Democrats. But this applies to the doomer crowd, too. Check this out.
News contributor, former FBI deputy director. Dan, I just love this. The Democrats with their F-bombs and their tough tweets and they're trying to be manly. And how revealing is this to you about their future?
Well, listen, let me just be candid in front of the audience. I am not one to throw stones at dropping F-bombs. I've been known to do it on my show. I try not to. I'm not telling you it's the right thing to do, kids. Eat your spinach, don't drop F-bombs. However, it's not the Democrats' newfound love affair with foul language that bothers me. It doesn't. I grew up in Queens. I just grew up around that kind of language. It's the, as you kind of hinted to in your monologue there, it's the non-genuine inauthenticity of it. It's the, remember the Liz Warren, hey, honey, you like a beer? It was just so fake. It wasn't that Liz Warren drank a beer on like an Instagram reels. It was so forced and fake that even the husband seemed caught off guard. Like, what? Like, you've never had a beer before. It was just so fake and phony. And what bothers me about it is it's clearly calculated because the Democrats have lost the middle class. There are only two groups of people who are Democrats now. Only two. There's these super rich Karens who they can be whatever they want because it doesn't really matter, so they can live in the world of ideas. And there's, unfortunately, really poor folks who've been given money by the Democrats, taking money from the super rich to pay them off. They've lost the middle class completely. So they think if they go out and do the Ruben Gallego and drop a few F-bombs inauthentically, that all of a sudden a bunch of working class coal miners from West Virginia are going to, clamor to vote Democrat again. I don't think it's going to work. I think it's a really poor strategy.
You see the bot army, by the way, show up in the chat. The show's live. Like when I'm listening to these clips, I can watch the chat just like you. I mean, I'm the host, but I also consume the show too. You see the rage bots, how they never refute what you actually say? There it is, right? Thanks. You guys zoom it in as if they don't know what an iPad is. Yeah. I watched the show too. They never refute what you actually said. Let me just make this really simple for the rage bots. Hello, dipshits. This is for you. Non-dipshits, you can tune out. Dipshits, this is for you. Do you have any evidence that Donald Trump has some kind of like advanced stage dementia or Alzheimer's? Any at all? Some kind of a blood test, a neurofibrillary tangle, an amyloid plaque? Do you know a psychiatrist? Have you seen a psychologist? Someone with a PsyD, PhD, MD? Do you have any evidence at all that that's true? Okay, you have none. So you're just making it up. So you like to be lied to. So you're just telling everyone in the chat, you're a dipshit. What about his claim on the show a couple of weeks ago? There's a big tweet about it. Cash was going to be fired tomorrow. It's like 7 or 8 tomorrows later. Does that not? So he was wrong, correct? Dipshits, this is for you. Hello, dipshits. Everybody paying attention? Non-dipshits, not for you. Was he or was he not fired? He was not. So that was a lie, correct? You were lied to. Yes. So you like being lied to. Yes. Yeah, you're a dipshit. You're just stupid. Do you have any evidence to refute what I'm saying? You have no evidence Donald Trump is mentally compromised at all. Matter of fact, if anything, here, breaking, exclusive. This is Alex Jones. Kash Patel to be fired by, when was this? April 2nd? I don't even know the date. What's the date today? What is it? The 10th. So we're talking about 8 days later, correct? I don't know, folks. I wasn't a math major. But is he going to delete that? Is he going to apologize? If this was just one incident, by the way, I'd be like, okay, whatever. He does this all the time. How many times are you going to be lied to? I hate doing this stuff. I really do. I've known about this guy for years. Have you ever seen me? Go back and look. If you're bored, You'd have to be really bored. But if you're really bored on the weekend, we have probably a couple thousand shows up on Rumble, on old when I used to put my video on YouTube and other places. You can go look through all of them. I hate this stuff. I never brought this up before. I never went after anyone. They went after me. I didn't really respond because I didn't feel the need to. I told you, don't over-explain. However, when it becomes an issue so much so that the President of the United States has to address it, there's no running away from any of that. You're going to address it because it's become a big problem. It's nothing but doomerism and total, complete horseshit. That's all it is made up outrage porn. That post should be tier 1 level evidence that you're being suckered. Nobody in the chat, the rage bots, nobody in the chat can answer, was he wrong or not? Just ask the chat rage bots who come in. Was that tweet accurate or not? No, it was a lie. Okay, we're right, you're wrong. I didn't even address it at the time because I knew it was stupid. Now let's get to some important stuff because I really, really I cannot stand wasting time on this garbage. There's an opportunity cost to this. 20 minutes into the show, we lost 20 minutes taken on the left because we have to address this because it's now made it into the White House.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and pause this here. Yeah, he's right. I'm at the 18-minute and 53-second mark here, and this video will be included in my daily news wrap-up, so you'll get to see the rest of this. There's like an hour and 7 minutes left in this video, and you'll get to see the rest of it in my daily news wrap-up. But in the meantime, let me go ahead and click on the Rumble link,
by the way,
and show you that this video does come from Dan Bongino show. I'm following his channel. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right, let's jump back here, and nobody wants to chat with me tonight, I guess. Okay. My feelings are hurt. I hope I don't start crying. At any rate, American Center for Law and Justice, Sekulow, California lost $108 billion to fraud under Gavin Newsom, and he wants to run for president, I guess, so he can, up that money. I wonder how much, if he's getting a kickback of any of that. I just wonder. Because, from what I understand, he's has at least one very nice multi-million-dollar mansion on a governor's salary. But, that just happens, okay? When you're a Democrat and in politics and, even some Republicans as well. These mansions just come. Your net worth becomes tens of millions of dollars on a salary that's, minuscule compared to that. But at any rate, let's go ahead and see what they have to say.
Vice President Vance has a task force, and they have uncovered billions upon billions of dollars in potential fraudulent businesses happening within America.
That's right. And we remember that the president tasked the vice president at the State of the Union with this new fraud task force. Now, they put it together, they started work, and there's a new report that this task force has flagged nearly $6.3 billion in government contracts going to potentially fraudulent businesses. They have sent out letters to nearly 400 businesses that have contracts with the government that are suspicious. These quote businesses have 30 days to respond to show proof of existence in many cases, that it even is a real business, but also with a location and almost show your work. It also goes to show that how quickly you could find 400 businesses and nearly 6.3 billion. We're not that far away from that creation of this task force. They're already identifying it, already getting to work, and we're going to see what comes of this. Now, once again, legal system takes a while. One, you can cancel a contract pretty quickly if it's a fraudulent business, but then it will take time for the Department of Justice to build a case, to bring cases if there are people that are guilty of fraud and need to be charged with that. But I like what we're seeing here. At the same time, there's this new report out of the Manhattan Institute. It's a think tank out of New York, focuses a lot on like city policy and American policy. It's not a foreign policy think tank as much as it is focusing on how to develop from a conservative perspective America. And this very interesting piece authored by Chris Rufo of the City Journal, that's the Manhattan Institute publication, comes out quarterly. And these are normally well-researched, more think tanky style articles, not as much like the quick hit that you'd get on a news site. And it has done an expose that is claiming that California has lost at least $180 billion due to fraud under the Gavin Newsom governorship. And it centers on three main sources: Medi-Cal fraud, which is the state Medicaid program, unemployment fraud, and general welfare fraud. $180 billion in one state. On top of that, you see what has been uncovered in Minnesota. You see what in less than a month the new task force has been able to find as potential fraud in just contracts with the government. It goes back to that the left never wanted Doge to happen, and they were so upset about it. And they were saying, you can't start looking into these programs. You can't start looking into where the money is going under these bureaucracies.
And let's just be honest, they partially won. You know, Doge though still exists in theory, it does not exist as it once did in the early days of the administration.
But they were able to go and venue shop courts, get judges to put a hold on it, say, no, you can't start canceling contracts. You can't start reining in waste, fraud, and abuse. But yet, even though that Doge mission that first started was derailed in some ways, you see that this is still something this administration cares about, and clearly the American people do as well. So I'm very much excited that this new task force is going forward, because it also seems so easy to uncover it when you start looking into where this money's going, where these contracts are headed. And we knew it existed. But when you're talking about one state, $180 billion. In this report, they're saying that is the GDP that was lost to fraud of New Zealand, of an entire country. The GDP equivalent was lost to fraudsters. That is your money, especially when you're talking about Medi-Cal fraud, because that isn't just the Californians that are paying taxes. That is every American that is paying taxes to the federal government. Medicare dollars are sent to the state to administer that program, and it is being robbed of the American people.
And it's going to be very tough to give any sort of consequences to this, because California was not doing a good job of staying on top of it.
We know that a lot of the major fraud programs happen in liberal-run states, because they are liberal with the way that they allocate the taxpayer dollars. They don't have as many checks and balances. They don't want oversight. They want the bureaucracy to be running things. And when you see how bad it gets in some places, you can't stop talking about it. This is a time when Gavin Newsom is trying to make a national name for himself. Will he be able to explain away this story? Or will people see that and be like, if your state lost $180 billion under you as governor, what would happen to the nation if your policies that you did in California were implemented nationwide? We already have a problem. So I think it also takes waking people up and holding their elected representatives accountable for the spending that's going on. And this is a left and right issue.
Yes, it is a left and right issue. And, you know, the thing about it is, there'll be people that vote for him because they like his hair. Okay? I mean, he's a smooth talker. Smooth talking Democrat. Lies through his teeth. Crooked as a dog's hind leg, I guess. Alright, let's click on the Rumble link and show you that this video does come from American Center for Law and Justice. A Sekulow clip. I'm sharing the channel. I've given them a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. Okay, let's jump back here and see what we got next with Glenn Beck. The one crucial fact we're missing about the Iran negotiations. Interesting stuff. Glenn always puts out some good stuff. And, as Dan Bongino was talking about the lies and just plain bullcrap that people put out, and it seems like he's right. The next day, or the day that it doesn't happen, if they said it was happening, oh well, they don't go on. I don't share that kind of information, okay? The kind of information I share is the information that you can count on. And Glenn Beck has information you can count on. So let's jump into that and see what he has to say.
So yesterday on the tarmac in Hungary, the vice president was speaking to reporters, and he was just asking, could we get some honesty from the press? And he was talking specifically about the multiple versions of the 10-point plan. Because somebody had asked him about the 10-point plan. Are we willing to accept this? Listen to what he said.
About Iran, sir. So let me just say, given that you guys are going to ask about Iran, let me just say a few things, actually. So, number one, I think it's very important for the American media to be honest with the American people on this particular issue, because it affects not just, the normal issues of public policy. It actually affects peace and war. And here's what I mean. So in the past couple of days, I've seen a lot of reporting from the American media about the 10-point proposal that the Iranians have made. Now, as I know, because I've been involved in this, there are 3 different 10-point proposals, at least, that I've seen floating around. The first 10-point proposal was something that was submitted, and we think, frankly, was probably written by ChatGPT, that was submitted to Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner. That immediately went in the garbage and was rejected. There was a second 10-point proposal that was much more reasonable, that was based on some back and forth between us, between the Pakistanis and Indians. That is the 10-point proposal that the president was referencing in his truth yesterday. And then, frankly, I've seen a third 10-point proposal that's even more maximalist than the first 10-point proposal that's been floating around various social media channels. Now, here's what's interesting about all this, is that I've seen various organs, the New York Times, CNN, others, pick up and run the original 10-point proposal based on little more than a random Yahoo in Iran submitting it to public access television in the country of Iran, and then them saying that somehow represents the negotiating position of the government.
Okay. See what he's saying here? And my job is to help you try to make sense of the world. And nothing in the world makes sense, and especially in war, and war with this kind of media, and war with this kind of access to the internet, and everybody has an opinion. And then you add on top of it AI. I mean, it's going to get more and more confusing every day. So I'm trying to not tell you what's right or what's wrong. I'm telling you right now, slow down, slow down. He's talking about the 10-point plan, and yesterday we were arguing, I wasn't, but many people were arguing, the president is he's just going to let them charge for oil, and he's going to let them have the nukes. Well, that would be a disaster. Okay, you don't even know which 10-point plan is real. Now, yesterday, you might have thought that you knew which one was real, but today you don't. We have no idea which one is real. There are multiple versions of this. And so all of that energy was wasted yesterday. But let's just say that we did know that there was only one version of the 10-point plan. Should we argue about it and dig our heels in it right now if we knew there was one? My answer would be no, because we're missing one critical piece of information. Who are we dealing with on the other side? Hear me out on this. You have to reset your instincts entirely before you even start this conversation. Because most of us in America, we think negotiation is about finding the overlap, finding the places of commonality. You figure out what the other guy wants, you give a little, you take a little, they walk away with something, and it's good for both. I mean, if it's a good deal, it's good for both parties, right? But that game only works if you're all playing that game. But look at what we're dealing with right now. Donald Trump has just announced a 2-week pause, ceasefire, bombing stops, window opens. By the way, the ceasefire held yesterday. And everybody was upset. He's going to stop. He's going to stop. He's negotiating. Hear me out on this. This is a negotiator's move. You create space, all right? You lower the temperature. You heat it up, and then you lower the temperature so either side can step back without losing face. You can give everybody an exit ramp, okay? And in business, this works all the time, because you know the guy on the other end of the table wants to make a deal. But what if the guy across the table isn't just a guy? What if it's a system that doesn't want any deal? Even worse than that. This is what you're seeing this week. And this is so critical. The politicians in Tehran are signaling restraint. Elements tied to the IRGC, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, they're not. It was the Guard Corps, the IRGC, that were lobbing missiles over to the Gulf nations yesterday that nobody reported on. That was the IRGC. Looks like a violation. But I actually think it's something more dangerous than a violation. This is the system arguing with itself in real time with weapons. And if you don't understand that, you misread everything. You know, Trump, whether you like him or not, has spent a lifetime dealing with people who, want something that you can measure. Maybe it's building, it's real estate, whatever, a golf course in Scotland. But he's never been in Scotland negotiating on a golf course and had somebody there that's like, oh, I'm going to vaporize Scotland and you. Okay, how do you deal with that person? You don't have any common ground. Iran is not one system. It's at least two. And there appears to be part of it that wants to survive. Discounting the people, just the regime itself. Part of it wants to survive. That is the part that Trump is negotiating with, okay? And they want to keep the lights on. They want to maintain control. They want to live. And then there's the part that sees chaos as the answer, okay? The IRGC, those are the 12ers. That's the Shia sect that wants to hasten the return of the Mahdi and the promised one, okay? That worldview is not about, keeping the power on and quarterly results. That is washing the world with blood. You don't close a deal with that at all. That side, you have to kill or defang and cage it. Those are your only options. So what does somebody in Donald Trump's position do when the other side is split between those? One, you don't negotiate with the country. You start negotiating with the fracture. You give the survival-minded faction enough fear and then enough hope to hold on to. Just enough incentive to keep them engaged. At the same time, you make escalation for the IRGC not painful, absolutely catastrophic. If you hit it, you hit it hard. Be careful. You hit it too hard, too fast, you could actually unify the system against you. Notice that's what everybody was saying. He's going to wipe out all of the Iranians and turn them all against us. Yeah, he could have, if that's what he was going to do, but that's not what he was doing. He was negotiating. That's not what he was doing. That's why he backed up, stopped before he did that, because you can't unify the system. If you do that, the ones who are the strong ones, the ones that just want to destroy everything, they become in charge, okay? This is one reason why the pause came. So what do you do with a 2-week pause? Well, you do a couple of things. And everybody in the last couple of days has been saying, 2-week pause, that's going to get them time to regroup. Yes, could. Our side just kept saying, Taco, Trump chickened out. He's a war criminal that chickened out. But if you if you understand this isn't a normal negotiation, you realize this isn't weakness and it's not surrender. This is somebody trying to test which part of Iran is actually in control. If you're dealing with a fractured negotiation partner, you need to figure out which one is stronger than the other. You need to figure out which one is actually in charge. So you push it to the limit, you create a window, and then you watch what fills it. If restraint fills it, do you notice this has held? Last night, nobody broke the ceasefire. If that fills this space, then you have somebody to talk to. If missiles fill it, then you've learned something else entirely. You got to go back to work. So here's the problem with this. The news this week shows both possibilities at the same time. You've got signals suggesting that parts of the Iranian leadership want a way out. At the same time, you've got rockets and proxies and noise. Two realities, same country. So the question becomes, Donald Trump is the best negotiator in the world. I think he does, but does he understand that he's got doomsday people on the other side? I think he does. He's not trying to make a deal with something as a whole. You know, when Neville Chamberlain sat down with Adolf Hitler and, made the Munich Agreement, he thought he was dealing with a man who wanted, some defined gains. He wasn't. He was dealing with a movement that fed on expansion, on craziness. That agreement didn't solve anything. It just bought time for Germany and not for the people who thought they were buying it. Okay. Now, fast forward, Cold War, American presidents negotiated with the Soviet Union. That system had ideology too. It talked about global revolution, but it also wanted to survive. And that's why the deals held, because we had mad, mutually assured destruction. Because underneath everything that the Soviet Union was said, they still feared, just like we did, the fear of annihilation, nuclear war. That's a line you're not going to cross. The real question is, who is controlling Iran today? And which side of the line does the power fall on? The one that understands mad, or the other side that may actually welcome nuclear destruction? That's the whole game. That's the fundamental question we're missing. Because if enough of that system wants to survive, then what Trump is doing, pressure mixed with pauses, will work. If the balance is tipping the other way, then that faction that welcomes chaos gains control. Then every pause becomes an opportunity for them, and we have to go back in and keep hitting them hard. Every opening becomes cover. Every negotiation is just a delay tactic. We've seen that happen before. He's not dumb enough to fall for that again. So what you're seeing now feels really, really messy, because it is. It's why today I'm telling you, and I try to tell you this every day, and at least during the war here, is we don't know what we're dealing with. We don't know who we're even dealing with. And in this particular scenario, both outcomes are logical and reasonable as endpoints. And they have extraordinarily different endings. This is not a clean negotiation. This is Donald Trump. If he would have gone in and tried to negotiate for some company, he's going to buy some company, and half the board wants to restructure and wants to sell to him, and the other half is literally setting the building on fire while the meeting is happening. You could talk all you want. You can still make your moves, but you better understand which side is actually holding the matches and which one has control of the doors. And I think watching this week, Trump understands exactly what he's dealing with. He didn't go all the way in. He didn't try to end it in one dramatic move. He pushed it to the limit and then created space, and now he's watching. That's not how you close a real estate deal, but that is the way you would probe a system to find out who's in charge, who can I trust? And quite honestly, and then you can also know the names of the people you need to target. Mm-hmm. Understanding this is not the same as mastering it, because this kind of negotiation has a really hard truth built into it. You don't get a clean win. You don't get a document that signs away or gives you everything that you want. What you get, if you do it right, is time. Time for the pressure to work, time for internal fractures to widen, time for people to get stronger on the streets, time for the side that wants to survive to outweigh the side that doesn't care if everything burns. But if you get it wrong, you don't just lose a deal. You strengthen the part of the system that was never interested in survival in the first place. So when you watch the headlines this week, pause. Missiles, mixed signals. It's not confusion. That's the reality of what happens when a negotiator used to dealing with self-interest, as every negotiator in the West sits across from a system where not everybody's values of survival are the same. But we'll see. Let's watch it play out.
All right. There we have it, folks. Show you here that this video does come from Glenn Beck. I am subscribed to his channel on YouTube. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. Okay, let's jump back here and see what's going on with Wendy Bell. Influencer wars. All right, let's check this out.
There seems to be a lot of infighting among the MAGA influencer world, and we're going to talk about that. Today's title of the show is basically the influencer wars. Everybody's struggling, fighting, clawing, stabbing each other in the back to try to get your click, your time, your attention, your approval, your praise, your almighty glory. And if they would all just stop it and put their individual agendas and narcissistic need for success on the back burner for a moment, maybe this president could do what we all elected him to do. We're going to talk about that here in the moments ahead. I want to share something with you, and I will tell you, I haven't gone over this in my mind, so I have no idea how it's going to come out, but I want to share with you a personal story. So yesterday, Brock and I went to my house after the show. We had a haircut appointment. Look, there are very few things that I can do as a quote unquote business owner, employer, if you will, because I do sign his paychecks, that I can do to maybe make his life a little bit easier. Every now and again, it's buy lunch, maybe it's buy a tank of gas, pay for this or that we need. He needs a computer. That's not a problem. Haircuts are just one of those silly little guilty pleasures that we enjoy doing. And we love going down to this cute little neighborhood place where I've been going for 15 years, right? So we go to my house and we're going to sit and have a beer on the patio because our appointment is until later on in the afternoon. And it's a beautiful day. It is one of those really adored and appreciated days in Western Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, that we don't get to see a lot. We don't commonly get really beautiful blue skies with big white fluffy puffy clouds. You don't normally get in April a wind that's really up high in the trees, and so it kind of creates this hum if you're sitting outside at a different level. There was a softness in the air. It was just a beautiful day to sit outside, really not even do anything, and just kind of decompress before our appointment. So we sat down and we're talking. And all of a sudden, Brock kind of starts to go somewhere else. He's sitting very comfortably across from me. I've got some patio furniture and all of the pieces rock back and forth. And he's just still. And then he slips off somewhere else and starts to have a seizure. My friend and producer is epileptic, and everyone who follows this program knows that. There's nothing he can do except take medication. And the seizures that he had as a little boy that I'm sure made being normal complicated. He's been able to figure out some treatments, take some meds, and control them. And I've witnessed one other seizure before that was totally different than this. The one I'd seen before had to be what you would call a grand mal. He was sitting the way you see him sit, or where you imagine he would sit. He fell sitting in his chair down onto the ground with the chair wrapped around his legs wrapped around the chair. And I, of course, raced into the producer studio to do basically nothing. There's nothing you can do. As I watched him for a period of minutes shake uncontrollably. I watched him unwind from that one. And it takes hours. In fact, it's days. He bit his tongue. I remember the gash in his tongue. That was so painful. Bled for days. Imagine something biting your tongue so bad that it bleeds for days. This wasn't like that. His eyes were half open. And his breathing changed. And I leaned forward. And I said, okay, Brock, I think you're having a seizure. And he couldn't say anything. And in about a minute, it sounded almost as though he had fallen into a deep sleep, like he was snoring. And I talked to him. And I said, you're okay. You're safe here. And for about 7 minutes, he sat like that, trying to make a sound, trying to come back. And I just sat helpless. What do you do? He wasn't seizing. He didn't fall to the ground. There was no drooling. It was peaceful. After about 10 minutes, he kind of came around a little bit, but he couldn't communicate with me. So I just kept talking to him. And I said, feel the breeze on your face. You hear the wind? It was almost as though we were living in this weird dimension because I heard it too. Like the layers of sound were so distinctive. High in the trees, I could hear the rustling of the wind. And then you could hear birds in the distance and a dog barking, kids across the street, leaves rustling. I heard it all too. Like I was there too, having the same experience. He heard every single thing I said. In fact, remembered more of it than I did because I was so panicked. What if something bad really happened to my friend? What would I do? And can you imagine the headlines? Cardiologist wife fails to resuscitate guy on her patio, right? And I'm like, ah. But all in this experience, I had a sense of calm. I didn't have that before. It was odd. And afterwards, he fell asleep on the couch for several hours. I went inside, helped the boys make dinner, but my Ring doorbell was on my phone and I kept watching it, making sure he didn't need anything. And then all of a sudden, about 3.5 hours after this started, he sat up as though he had snapped out of some trance and had this clarity that he had been transported to another place, maybe a different dimension, a calm that he's never felt before. Of course, I was panicked. You know, every now and again, something like this happens, maybe not a seizure, but that moment that you realize all of this other noise around you is so wholly irrelevant, it matters almost not at all. Maybe you're holding your new grandchild. Maybe you're holding your dying parent's hand right before they slip away. Maybe it's the phone call that you've been dreading. It reminded me, and thank God my friend is fine. There's so much bigger stuff going on. It's bigger than war, bigger than politics, bigger than the headlines, bigger than big egos who are desperate for us to pay attention to them. Every now and again, you need something to happen to you to put it all back into perspective. I have mine, ladies and gentlemen. I have mine. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, we're going to talk about what Trump said. He dropped some bombs overnight and not on Iran. Okay? How about on Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Alex Jones, etc.? Oh boy, next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
Alrighty, well, that was an interesting story. I actually hadn't previewed this. I had some things that I had to take care of today, so that was an interesting story, I thought. Brock looks okay today.
It's magic,
Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. Our kind of odd experience on the patio yesterday notwithstanding, it is weird when you're forced to see something or you find yourself in a situation where all the stuff that you've been worried about up until that moment just goes gone. It has been broken up. It is gone. And your focus is one thing and one thing only. It gives you great clarity. Even in bad situations, it gives you great clarity. Well, I will say this, President Trump he did, and I don't like this phrase because people say it too often, scorched earth. He did. He dropped a bunker buster on Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, and Alex Jones. All of them, and now Owen Schroyer, and now all these other people, Ann Coulter, people who you might consider right-wing, MAGA, conservative, whatever you want to say. Everybody's lost their ever-loving marbles when President Trump put out on Truth Social, I really hope that Iran comes to its senses, because if not, I'm going to be destroying an entire civilization. He didn't say that. They inferred that, and then they all went off the deep end. And meanwhile, we're looking at them going, what the hell happened to you? Well, I want to read this to you. This is what the president said. Of course, now it's saying I can't get into it. Brock, see if you can find me that truth, won't you? I'm in. Oh, I have to log in because apparently it doesn't think that I am who I am. Hold on. So Trump put out a truth last night, basically obliterating. I got it. I know why Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, and Alex Jones have all been fighting me for years, especially by the fact that they think it's wonderful for Iran, the number one state sponsor of terror, to have a nuclear weapon, because they have one thing in common: low IQs, Trump wrote. Oh my gosh. He continues. They're stupid people. They know it. Their families know it. And everyone else knows it too. Look at their past. Look at their record, he continued. They don't have what it takes. And they never did. They've all been thrown off television, lost their shows, and aren't even invited on TV because nobody cares about them. They're nut jobs, troublemakers, and will say anything necessary for some free and cheap publicity. Further down the post, he hurled some personal insults at the four pundits, calling Carlson a broken man when he got fired from Fox, claiming he's never been the same, and stating that he needs to see a good psychiatrist. Trump briefly criticized Megyn Kelly for asking him in 2015 about his past derogatory comments about women, to which he responded, only Rosie O'Donnell. Was hilarious. Taking a dig at Owens, Candace, Trump referenced the former Daily Wire host's legal battle with French President Emmanuel Macron and his wife, Brigitte Macron. Owens, of course, perpetuating the idea that France's first lady was born male. And he says crazy Candace Owens, who accuses the highly respected First Lady of France of being a man when she's not, and will hopefully win lots of money in the ongoing lawsuit. Actually, to me, the First Lady of France is far more beautiful woman than Candace. In fact, it's not even close. And he also directed his ire toward Alex Jones, who lost multiple legal battles regarding his unsubstantiated claims about the 2012 Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting. And Trump said Jones lost his entire fortune, as he should have. They're not MAGA. They're losers just trying to latch on to MAGA, Trump said. As president, I could get them on my side anytime I want to, but when they call, I don't return their calls because I'm busy on world and country affairs. And after a few times, they go nasty. Oh, that's interesting. So if it's a battle of the influencer, if we're actually not in info wars, we're in influencer wars, who would come out on top? Well, it just so happens that about 30 minutes before airtime, my old boyfriend, who I broke up with, Harry Enton, put this out regarding Trump's popularity and approval versus Tucker Carlson's. Let's see.
So if it is a choice between the president and Tucker Carlson among these voters, what do they basically say?
Yeah, they choose Donald Trump basically every single time. Look at this. Okay, the exact same poll, this UMass Lowell poll. Look at this. Net favorables among Republicans. Again, this is Republicans plus Republican-leaning independents. You see Carlson on the right side of your screen at plus 7 points. Look at where Donald Trump is at plus 61 points. And this is actually a little bit low for Donald Trump. In other polls around the same time, he was even higher than this. Again, he is crushing Tucker Carlson. What is this? This is a 54-point advantage for Donald Trump over Tucker Carlson when it comes to who is more popular among Republican voters. And of course, this is even just talking about the MAGA base, where Donald Trump is running an approval rating somewhere between 97 and 100%.
So Tucker Carlson plus 7 net favorability, President Trump plus 61. Now, you don't have to be a Trump cheerleader to understand that what this man is trying to do, no other man has tried to do in world history, what this man is trying to do. He is trying to reset not just America, but the entire world. He's trying to rescue us from the claws of this new liberal world order of suck. And if influencers who believe they have more influence than the president of the United States, who's the one man with the huevos to stand up to everybody and say, I know what is right, and you can suck it if you think I'm wrong. Well, I've got word for all of them. We're all supposed to be doing something together here. And if your narcissism, your ego is more important than America, damn right Donald Trump did what he did yesterday. Dropping the nukes. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, my friends, Scott Jennings drops his own bunker buster next.
All righty, I'm going to go ahead and pause that there. Now, I don't share much of Tucker Carlson or Candace Owens or Alex Jones, but I do on Megyn Kelly. She has like a morning news brief. And if you'll look at my channel and the videos, Monday through Friday, when she has a news drop, it's on YouTube. It's not on Rumble. But I take that and I produce a video every morning from Megyn Kelly. Now, I've not heard her. I mean, I sit there and I watch the whole thing because I'm, kind of doing it on Rumble Studio. And I'm doing other things while that's going on, like updating my site with videos that came out from other producers. Let me just jump over here real quick. Yeah, so I update Murtech.com, and put videos that have been since, the night before, people that have dropped. Chicks on the Right, they drop a video early in the morning. Dorilla Dog drops one late at night, so does Vince Dow. So I go through and update Murtech.com while I'm listening to Megyn Kelly. I've not heard her say anything negative about Donald Trump or even his policies. It's pretty much strictly just things that have gone on. If that does start happening, then I probably won't share her anymore. But as it is, what my focus here, is to put out no nonsense, common sense, and logic and truth. And if something happens, I used to share Tucker Carlson, but he got weird. I used to share Candace Owens, but she got weird. I used to have Alex Jones. I share him on my site as well. But, things just, if they start talking like weird stuff, then I don't share them anymore. Because I want the reputation of no nonsense, common sense, logic, and truth. Okay? And that's what I'm here for. All right, let's jump back over here, click the Rumble link, and show you that this video does come from Wendy Bell Radio. I'm following her channel. I've given her a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. Okay, back here, Foxy Grandma and Debbie BS join me in the chat. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. I was getting so lonesome. I'm glad you guys finally jumped in. Okay, these videos that I shared with you are videos that come directly from the producer. I've got the links to their videos that I shared with you. I've also got the links to the channels. If you want to go and see more information that they have, by all means do so. And as I said earlier, these videos that I share with you are videos that I have on Mertech.com. And I update my site multiple times a day to give you no nonsense, common sense, logic, and truth. Now, I could update a video and then somebody might drop a video 15 minutes later. But I try to keep this as updated as I can. And in fact, I'll update it tonight with information that's come out late this evening for tomorrow morning, and I'll do it again tomorrow morning just in case some things have come out overnight. Now, I'd like to share all this information with you, but unfortunately, I don't have the time to do so. I've got over 24 hours worth of videos on that one page. But I do have my daily news wrap-up that I will share with you later on. I'm going to start off with Wendy Bell, where we left off here in this podcast, and Dan Bongino, again, as I've said earlier, that I'll share this in my daily news wrap-up. Some information from the Rubin Report, We the People News, McWater's Effect, On the Fringe, News for Reasonable People, Black Conservative Perspective, Benny Johnson, and we know all kinds of information here. AP for Liberty says I have 22 videos in here. There's about 9 or 10 hours worth of information here for you. So go ahead and take a break right now. Grab a cup of coffee and a donut or a sandwich and a soft drink or a beer or a nice glass of wine and some cheese maybe. And give me about 15 or 20 minutes to get this set up in Rumble Studio, and then I'll be back with you. But for right now, I do want to thank you for spending your time with me this evening. Hopefully, I'll get to see you again later, and may God bless. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up with some information from MeWe. Okay, so just take a listen to this and see you in a few minutes.
Ever feel like the phone is listening to everything you say? That's because big tech treats every user's life like a corporate paycheck. It's time to stop being the product. Millions are making the move to MeWe, a safe space for communities to share their real opinions and join their tribe.
It's time to take back control of the time you spend online. On MeWe, you are not the product. MeWe puts your privacy first. It's the safe space we've been waiting for. No creepy tracking and no manipulated feeds. It's just a place for actual communities to share real opinions and find their tribe without a bot breathing down their neck.
If you want to connect with new people and communities, check out MeWe, the safe space where the world meets.